Oh, hi everybody. Good evening. Here's Mike from Setlinn and Opportunity Pulse, and I have my colleague and business partner, Steven. This evening, we are bringing back the fire, that which you've always seen from us, that which you've always expected from us. We're bringing it back to you today. What are we going to be talking about? The gap in Germany that you can leverage on, the skilled worker gap in Germany. And today, we are keeping it right on point. We will be touching on five key areas that we believe that if you are an opportunity seeker in Germany, if you are looking for opportunities in Germany, jobs, whatsoever that opportunity might be, this is relevant for you. We will keep this live session max up to 30 minutes. If you're watching it live right now, great. You can ask us questions at any point in time. If you're watching it later on, that's also fine. You can leave comments in the chat section. The five key points that we're going to be touching this evening is how SMEs in Germany hire, what they scan for, the fast track to Ausbildung pathway. Ausbildung is a special pathway in Germany, which we will touch on briefly, and going beyond the big cities, because everyone is going for the hype of big cities. But the truth is, the opportunities are not only in the big cities, and that's what you're going to learn today. Then the sectors that are on fire, which sectors are those that are on fire? We will highlight those sectors. And then last but not the least, what do recruiters want? As you can already understand or imagine, this covers both people who are in Germany and also outside of Germany. So wherever you're watching this from right now, stick around. Before I proceed, I'll let my business partner and colleague Steven to briefly introduce himself and we will dive right in.
Well, thank you so much, Mike, again for this wonderful episode of Opportunity Paths. And thank you for Setlinn, always for setting us up for these opportunities. The topic is amazing, and I think it is relevant. You and I have been chatting quite often about opportunities, work, particularly for diaspora or the migrant communities or expats. Uh, there are so many that are in this industry that are fully confused where to find jobs or what kind of
Makes
jobs
sense.
and so on. So I'm very optimistic that by the end of the session, we are going to have a very clear understanding of the opportunity and the gap and the mismatch, where it comes from and where you can optimize to be accessible to those opportunities. So my name is Stephen Buete. I'm the founder of Kiroto Consult, a company that has made its mission to help as many young people as possible from Africa to make meaningful careers and get into education, into universities and vocational trainings in Germany and beyond. So I'm very happy to be here and also as part of the podcast for Opportunity Paths.
Thanks a lot, Steven. Soon, I think we will not need any introduction anymore because we will be all over the faces of people that they would already can relate to us very much. And just to give us a bit of background to the context here, Steven and myself, we are the co-founders of Opportunity Pulse, a nonprofit organization. Why did we co-found Opportunity Pulse? It's simple. We need that point where people merge and find opportunities because the opportunities are there. But then there's missing gap. I was in an event recently in Düsseldorf, and there was a saying there, talent is everywhere, but access is not there. People are ready to work, people are ready to do something, but that connection to do that thing is always the missing gap. And that's what we are going to dissect this evening.
Mm,
Um, the first point that we have here is how SMEs in Germany hire. Um,
mm,
we've all had experience also working in the corporate sectors, and now we are self employed ourselves.
mm,
We've also had our fair share experience of working in these companies. So,
mm,
Steve, maybe to start with you, and I will also go. Could you
mm,
share briefly? Because I like this to be practical,
mm,
because we have had the experience. So, how was it for you being hired in a small company before? And
mm.
what do these small companies look out for, the SMEs?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mike, for that. I would say it's no news that Germany is way over 500,000 gap of qualified workers. And the most sectors hit by the lack of skilled labor are the SMEs. These are small and
Yeah.
medium-sized companies. And challenge they have is that they don't have the ability to scale when it comes to integration of professionals, when it comes especially to the migration or looking for talents beyond the regions where they're operating. Even with all this blue card, the Johnson card, and all this what is coming up,
Yeah.
most of the time they lack the resources or the know-how to bring in those talents. Yes, there are
Yeah.
few which are really champions in this, but the question is, what do they need, or what? How do you leverage yourself to meet their needs in case your goal is to be part of these champions, these small champions?
Yep.
I think, in my opinion, or in my own case, what helped me, I was very practical. Uh,
100%.
I did a master's degree, and when I did my research, I focused on a topic that was relevant to that company. So
Yeah.
that company is called Eurasia Institute, and it is a place, or it's a pathway school, a pathway that offers students the chance to study and integrate within the German industries. And I looked at what were the need in that company. In that company, they were looking at how to grow their number of agencies or partners all over Africa.
Yeah.
And I benchmarked those who were successful from Asia, let's say South Asia. I looked at those in the Balkan states, and I said, if they lack agencies or partners to work with in Africa, how
Yeah.
can I help them using or modeling from those successful regions? So I did a feasibility study, which was very practical.
Yep.
And in the end, I gave them a set of tools that were very realistic, that were very
Yep.
reliable, that were implementable, and they had social proof, like they were provable that it is real.
It's
Because
working.
it wasn't just a theoretical study, going to the library and researching and presenting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And basically, this made me the best candidate for the job, whereby by the fact that before even submitting or defending my thesis, I already had a job contract.
Yep.
It helped me a lot to get into a company. So to answer your question in simple terms is, try to be real when you're trying to
100%.
position yourself in the area of small and medium-sized companies.
Yep.
uh, be reliable, because these companies, as I say, they don't have a huge human resource network.
There's no
That
time to chase you.
exactly, and they're also looking for someone who they can train on job,
Yep.
someone
Yep.
who probably had different skills but is trainable to fit
Yep.
into the size and the requirements and the provisions of that
Yep.
company.
Yep.
Uh, and I would say someone who is also flexible in the
Yep.
mentality, because sometimes we have
Yep.
demands,
Yep.
and the demands that we have are maybe made for big 500 employees and 1,000 employees plus, or capital, like capitalization. There's certain things they
Mm-hmm.
cannot provide. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to be sometimes flexible in your expectations, in your demands. In
Yep.
that way, you probably might be able to position yourself successfully for SMEs.
Yeah. You know that you really landed the points because just thinking about it, it's not that difficult, frankly speaking, because your experience is also quite similar to mine. When I started working at first, it was also with a super small company, startup company.
Mm,
And just to touch on your point, it's about being practical, being proactive, and the fact that they can count on you. These are
mm.
small companies. They need help. They literally need help. So if
True.
you position yourself as someone who is reliable, who is teachable, who can adapt to what they're looking for, then it
Mm,
becomes easier to hire you. In my case, I went a completely different route. Before I even sent my CV or
mm,
cover letter, I introduced myself. I said, this is who I am. This is
mm,
my background. This is what I've done before. I
mm,
understand that you guys are a small company like this and you do this. I
mm,
think I can bring you the following.
mm,
After that call, they kept note of my details. A couple of weeks back, I got a call from the CEO himself and asking, are you still interested in that position? I
mm.
said yes. And he was like, can you come around for us to have a
Yeah.
chat? This was not even an interview. I
Mm,
literally was consulting them.
Mm.
We sat, we're talking. It was about when can you start, Mike? So I think my point, which I want to add to yours, is
Yeah,
A, if you really know your stuff, then you show it, you prove it. They will come after you. I do understand that in practice it's a bit difficult to get that access. But any opportunity that you have to get that access, then prove to them that you're a very valuable resource. And I think that's all I have to say, or that's what all we should say on this point, because there are still four more points to go over.
that's
So
mm.
be proactive, be practical, be reliable,
Mm.
different from other people
Yeah,
because they need you. There's no question about it.
certainly.
By the way, if you're watching this, feel free to sign up on Setlinn because on Setlinn, that's our information and communication and networking platform. And that's where this conversation will continue because we cannot talk about everything right here. So feel free to sign up on Setlinn. If you're already on Setlinn, and ask your questions there. And you can be sure that we will follow up. Because if we would answer everything here, I think we will sleep here. The next point is going beyond the big cities. For
Mm.
me, I feel like a lot of people are trying to just everyone going to the big cities. The big cities are gradually becoming
Mm.
overpopulated. There are issues with accommodations, and not to mention that's where everyone wants to go to. So I think
Mm.
it's no brainer to know that you should not be focusing on the big cities. And
Mm.
not to mention, most of these big cities, they are not even where the factories are. They're not even where the company headquarters are, where the most hiring happen. No, that's not where it is.
Mm.
So I'd like you to touch on your idea regarding going beyond the big cities. What should people who are seeking opportunities, especially that want to leverage on this skilled gap in Germany, what should they know about going beyond the big cities?
Mm. Yeah, again, this is in line with the first question, Mike, which is how to position yourself, or how do you position yourself for SMEs, or generally
Yep.
for jobs that could enable you to enter into the first paid job. So if you look at most small, medium-sized companies, they would normally be outside of the big cities. Um,
100%.
and the reason for that is usually they tend to serve the regional needs, the core needs of the regions where they are.
Yep.
And that makes them quite key. And that makes it also, it makes them less competitive. It becomes less competitive because big cities are full of competition.
Yep.
Like if you're going to widen your radius to beyond the cities, let's say the big cities like Berlin, Munich, Hamburg, these cities already got enough pool of talents.
Yep.
Yes, they already need talents, but there's also a lot of the saturation of talents is very high. Now, when
Yep.
it comes to smaller cities, because of sometimes the lack of the infrastructure, let's say schools, transportation, and the sports, leisure facilities, and so on. Usually, we tend to go, especially migrants or expats, they tend to now wander to the big cities because they want to have this accessibility. But that creates
Mhm.
also the competition in the long run.
Yep.
Now, why I would always emphasize the small cities is that they reduce the competition for talent because most of the time you find most of the qualified people, they are in the same location
That's
competing
right.
for the same jobs.
That's
So
right.
if you are in the south, let's say in south of Germany, I would say look for places like Regensburg, look at Kassel. If you look, maybe you're looking at areas to the north, look at places like Chemnitz or Ulm. If you're looking at Berlin,
Yep.
look at the areas like Brandenburg, especially if you're into energy and into electricity. If you're into IT, look at those places. If you're into finance, of course, look into Frankfurt because that's the powerhouse. But then you can also look at the areas around Frankfurt, going to the
Yep.
south, the inner part of this the city. So that creates that reduces the competition for you. Not to
Yep.
say that you can't find opportunities in the large cities, but the competition for talent there and the level of the level of the supply is much higher than maybe in the
Yeah.
smaller cities. Yeah.
And just to add to your point, so besides the opportunities where they actually are
Mm,
and where not to have a lot of competition, there is
mm,
also the integration aspect.
Mm-hmm.
We are generally big fans of integration because opportunities are first and foremost rooted
True.
in
Yeah.
Germany. And you
Yes.
find the concentration of those opportunities in these locations that there are less people. It would interest you to know that when, if a job post is made by these small companies,
Mm.
after, let's say for the big companies, they have all the HR resources. You will easily find their post on LinkedIn and all the big
Mm.
job portals.
Mm.
A couple of seconds, there are hundreds of applications. But these
Mm.
small companies, they don't have, these big resources. And
Yes.
so they mostly use like local job portals, like the Agentur für Arbeit portal.
Mm.
And where I'm going to is this: there is that concentration
Mm.
of these opportunities outside of the bigger locations, and people are not really checking them. These guys are looking for workers, and months they haven't filled the position because guess what? Nobody applied, or the people who applied just did not show up, or they ended up not coming to that location for whatever reason. But
Mm.
then my point now is when it comes to integration is these small cities, they help you integrate faster because you don't have all the I would call it distractions of the big cities. You are
Mm.
like really focused on your stuff, and not to mention the expenses, the standard of living,
Exactly.
accommodation, transportation, complexity. Like I can just go on and on and on and on. I think
Yes.
my general recommendation is start small and grow. If you are
Mm.
a fan of a big cities, no issues. But if you want to have a strategic plan on how to just grow and be a bit predictable, then I genuinely encourage you start with the small cities. More
Yeah.
concentration of the opportunities there. It's a lot easier to integrate. Cost of living, standard of living, much better there.
Yeah. 100%, Mike. I think you mentioned one of the points that you mentioned, what the cost aspect of it.
Yep.
If you'd compare the cost of accommodation, especially if you're entering into your first paid job, obviously you're not going to be earning quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because of probably lack of experience. But in this case, then you also need to manage the cost. And if you're looking at
100%.
cities, then the challenge are that you're going to always probably spend quarter or even half of your salary into
Yeah.
accommodation if you're focusing on the large cities. So
Yep.
that alone can maybe affect your chances even of further development, career development, and so because you're just struggling to pay the bills. Um,
Exactly.
and I think you mentioned some of the practical places where uh, people could find those opportunities. If you want to filter to those
Small
out
locations.
smaller locations outside of the cities, like Arbeitsagentur is very classic. But if you go to Arbeitsagentur, try to filter also the
Yep.
locations that are very specific to what you want. Um, Obviously, you can also look at the called the job buzzer. Normally, you can also put a radius of say the distance between, let's say, 10, 25 kilometers from this area.
Yep.
If you're looking at your location, look at also there's this mine start point the A. You can also look at the specific filter of that place
Yep.
and look at maybe the specific industry in that location. I'm quite
Yep.
sure that there is always a lot that is not seen. And also the challenge, Mike, you're talking about the visibility of those jobs is because they are not very much visible. It's always the game of algorithms, right? So
Right.
because they are not much are visible, they are not so much ranking high up in the
That's
algorithm. So
right.
you not see
That's
them.
right.
So you
Yep.
might have some time to use filters in order to
Yep.
be able to find those jobs.
Yeah. And in general, that's where the proactivity comes in.
Mm,
If you're getting this information, then you know what to do. You just go straight, use the filters, narrow down your search, and I
mm,
trust me, you'll find lots of opportunities. If you're confused about the names which you're mentioning, you don't understand, just leave a comment wherever you're watching this from, or better still, just make a post on Setlinn and we will elaborate on the point further. The essence here is to open your eyes and show you how and where to get started from. So, not wasting further time, we move to the next point. Which sectors are on fire? There are
mm.
literally some sectors on fire in Germany. They are literally on
Yeah,
fire. Which are
yeah.
those sectors? And let's touch on those sectors, and then so that the people who are potentially from these sectors can already know what is waiting for them. Stephen, could you touch on that briefly?
Well, without even thinking too much, I would say
Sure.
number one on the top of the list would be healthcare. So
100%.
anything within the health is on fire. And I can say this from my own everyday experience that are you getting students who have barely finished their second year in
Yeah.
their vocational training here, and they have nothing less than 3 or 4 job offers. And these are
Hmm.
students who had, if you're looking at the Nigerian academic qualification scheme, you're looking at someone who's only had a WAEC, right?
Yep.
Or
Hmm.
someone from Kenya would only have had maybe a KSE, or from Uganda, you're looking at someone who has an A level or even senior 4 results. So
Yep.
these are people that are really on demand. When talking about healthcare, we're looking at elderly care, we're looking at clinical, and we're looking at childcare. Um, the reason why this is on fire, of course, we know Germany is one of those countries in Western Europe with the fastest aging population,
Yep.
with an age structure where the young ones are becoming less and less, and more people are getting out of work.
Yep.
So there are lots of people that worked into the health industry that are getting out into pension, and there are not so many new ones, or the young ones who are there are considering to go into academic studies. So
Yep.
practical nursing, vocational training, students who graduate usually have straight career chances, whether it's caregiving, whether it's psychophysiotherapists or psychotherapy, child care therapy, child care, kindergarten, and so on. These are on demand. Now, if we're
Yep.
going to take, I would say, renewable, anything in the EV infrastructure, whether it is solar installation, solar panels, and these are really, like, these are crafts, like people that are
All
really in need of,
sectors.
the sectors are in need. Lots of, especially SMEs in this industry, they get a lot of contracts,
Yep.
Aufträge, but they cannot deliver sometimes because they don't have enough people to send into the field or to send into the buildings and so on,
Yep.
which
Yep.
means that some of these people have to lose and even pay money because they can't deliver.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I would say these are really on fire.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, the automobile sector, Germany is always a country of automobile. Um, I would say here, looking at mechanics, we're looking at operation, people who have done mechatronics,
Yep.
probably could be very much in need. And then if you look at the
Uh,
supply chain part of it, then if you're into
yep.
logistics, supply chain, then you could also be in demand only within this automobile.
Yep.
But I would say generally those are the three I would say top of the list. And then if you're going to take, of course, Mike, you're better off to say to that where you see the need. But obviously, we see that traditional IT specialists or computer scientists
Yep.
are probably facing competition right now, and we are seeing a trend into probably AI, machine learning, and big data,
Yep.
and so on. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. So just to add to your point, healthcare, green tech, automobiles, mechanical engineering of every sort, and then very importantly,
Mm,
logistics, supply chain, drivers, those sectors, high demand. And then, of course, the tech sector, especially software engineering. If you are a developer, whatever
mm,
kind of developer you are, a software engineer, uh, data analyst, data scientist. And I think we can even elaborate on this further and correlate it with the opportunity card visa
mm,
or the opportunity card, yeah,
mm.
option to move to Germany. Because
Yeah.
even with an opportunity card visa, you do not and you must not actually be from one of these sectors. But what would actually help you is if you know these sectors that are on fire and if you have some transferable skills from
True.
your previous experience to these sectors, then you can leverage on the opportunities. It's really important that you know these sectors that are on fire because
Mm,
it's about the numbers. If there's 1,000 opportunities versus 100 opportunities, where do you want to go? You want to go to the 1,000 opportunities where you have a higher chance of getting in. So if you're not directly from any of these sectors, but you have transferable skills from one
Mm.
sector to the next, then you
Yeah,
can and should leverage on that. So
exactly. Mm.
I think what this translates to is you can find ways to correlate your previous experience, interest, and skills to these
Mm.
areas that are on fire. So
Mm.
feel free to drop a question, comment if you want us to recap it, and by all means, we're happy to do that. But the point here is know the sectors that are on fire. If you come from them directly, awesome. If not, what transferable skills do you have that you can position yourself as
Mm.
someone who is valuable to these sectors on fire?
Mm.
Good.
Yeah.
Um,
If I could just add one thing to that, Mike, again, taking it
sure.
back, I don't know why I feel so interested in connecting that to SMEs because I find this is an area that we normally miss on. So, on that, I would say the language you use for this, even in the
100%.
application, probably we might touch a bit of that later on. But the language that you speak here should be really adaptive to that, away
Yeah.
from these big CVs, with all these lofty experiences, but very practical,
Very
um,
practical.
very hands-on, transferable skills. Emphasize your adaptability, emphasize your flexibility to relocate, emphasize your flexibility to work in different environments and your work schedules, because these are some of the things that they are struggling with. And obviously, if you are trying to attract those kind of people to see you, you might need to speak their language.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I mean, talking about the language, it's only logical that for you to know that being able to speak the language highly increases your chance. But we also understand that in practical sense, not everyone
Mm,
can or have a good command of the language. But what
mm,
you can do is to show the interest
mm,
100% because you are capable of learning the language on the job and it would actually be in your best interest and favor. So, yes, you don't understand the language, you don't have the command, but I mean, none of us here who speak German today could speak it very well before we came. But the
yeah,
question is, are you willing to learn it or not? So you have to ask yourself that, you answer that, and then you know the next way forward. But just understand that it only gets better with practice and your willingness.
yeah.
And then
If
just to
Mike,
also add,
allow
please.
me to add on that point the versatility of our language, because most diaspora or most expatriates or migrants, if you would say, they
Yep,
usually speak nothing less than three languages. So
at least.
also leverage on those language skills that you speak, because
Yeah.
some of these companies are trying to reach out to a segment of the consumers as well. Don't shy away from mentioning how those language could also help you to maybe win them a new client or to help them to see a different market segment. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, you might not be fluent in German language, but emphasize your command of the English language or your French language or any other languages, those regional languages from the continents where we're coming from,
Yeah.
and emphasize how important this or valuable this can be to the company.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I mean, you also have to understand that being an international person, being an expat, being a professional from abroad, that already gives you a leverage. And this is what people don't understand. They're always looking at the other side that because I'm not German, because I'm not European, then I am like the second option. No, Germany and the companies here, they want to expand to who knows your location, where you're coming from, your that country where you come from. So having someone from there, it's a huge advantage for them because the thing about business and operating a company in general is there is the business part, but there's also the cultural aspect if you want to interact with customers from a certain location. So you are coming with 100% very valuable skills and your uniqueness being non-German is a huge advantage and you should focus on leveraging on that part. And when you understand that advantage, and again, you already have some relevant experience within that sector, that you can tell them clearly how you can bring that experience to help solve the current challenges which they are facing. Plus, by chance, the company is also looking to expand, internationalize, or whatever. You are a huge asset to them. So my point is, The sectors that are on fire, in general, you should note them. And then you coming from outside of Germany, it's a huge plus. And by the way, if you're already in Germany and you're watching this because you came through the opportunity card visa, the job seeker visa, or you just finished your studies, the same applies to you as well. So know these sectors and know how to leverage what you already have. We're running out of time, Ruth, because it's already 30 minutes into the show. We have two more points to cover. Stephen, I'd just like you to touch a bit on the Ausbildung pathway because this is also related to those sectors on fire. Just
Hmm.
touch briefly on that. Who are the key people? What the benefits are, and just
Hmm.
how it goes, briefly, so we can now hit the last point.
Very good, Mike. Yeah, so basically the Ausbildung, take it like it's that on-job training where companies are really hiring someone that they are going to probably retain, and they have intentions to retain you for their job needs. Okay. They want to train you for 3 years, and
Yep.
this Ausbildung goes concurrently with an employer. So you usually have a practical placement where you're working, and then a school, what we call the theoretical placement, where you're going to do the theoretical studies.
Yep.
The interesting thing about this is that it comes normally free of charge.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to pay tuition fees, and it comes with a job training and a job security. Why? Because you're trained to do the job from day one. So that gives you the security that you're good at what you're doing. And in so doing, no one is going to challenge you because you are a good candidate for placement in that company. Um, the most prominent vocational training group currently are in the health sector. Like I've already mentioned, this is really a fire. It's really on fire.
Yep.
So what we call here the Pflegefachkräfte. So Pflegefachmann, Pflegefachfrau. But there are quite a number of these others in the health sector, like those who want to work in hospitals. There are also quite a number, like 6 or 7 different professions. But generally, I would say health is number one. And then there are electronica or electronica, people who are doing electronics, uh,
Yep.
uh, mechatronica. These are people generally who are going into the mechanic side. Fachinformatica, these are usually going to be more into the IT, the tech part. Um, and then there are quite a number of others like the street or the construction.
Yep.
There are those who are into Gartenarbeit and so on. But I would say usually in the construction, this is much more traditional. Like the language, you really need to have a very strong command of the language. The same applies if you're going to gardener or gardening and so on. Yeah, I would encourage that someone really is very keen on the language, whereby the electronica, mechatronica, Fachinformatica, the concentration of the language is not that strong
That's
because they
right.
are technical professions and there's not so much interactions with the end users.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in general, for those who do not have high qualifications,
Mm,
long years of experience already as professionals, you're just finishing secondary school, and you're not sure where to start from, or you're not considering going to a uni, this would be an excellent opportunity for you to get started. And the best part is you can start this as a way to really get deep into the German system because by
mm,
default you will learn the language. By default you're going to use the language. By default you have practical work experience in Germany. And
mm,
after the Ausbildung, you can decide what you want to do: work, go to study further, or anything. So, in my opinion, beyond the fast track into the Ausbildung pathway for you to secure jobs, this is an excellent way for you to be sure that you are like fully ingrained in the German system. There is no
yeah.
other way around it.
Mm.
Awesome.
The other benefit, Mike, again, is back to the point of affordability, because for those who can't afford the university track, where you need to have 11,000 plus of euros
Yep.
uh, for blocked account, this is the only way that you can save that, because you don't need that aspect of money that, since you have the employment contract, which also
That's
guarantees
right.
a minimum of at least 900 to 1,200 euros,
That's
which
right.
is monthly allowance that you're getting, on top of it being free of charge, that you don't pay tuition.
That's right. That's right. Interested in Ausbildung pathway? Feel free to get in touch with us. I keep putting down below here all the relevant links that you can check for more details and get in touch with us. And definitely, we're happy to help you. Want to have more information about this? Want to go deep? There are more than enough content on Setlinn that you can take your time to read, ask questions, and of course, connect with the community. The last but not the least part, it kind of relates to everything which we've been talking about here because it's more like the first step, right? The people who bring you up to get into this skilled worker or skilled labor gaps in Germany. The recruiters, because they are the ones that are going to first refine you, touch up your profile before they push you to the hiring manager or the company, as the case might be. So I think we can use this point, Stephen, to just wrap it up. What should people pay attention to for them to be attractive to recruiters? And now
Yeah,
touching on your CV, your
yeah,
portfolio, the value
yeah.
that they bring to the company, or in general, what are recruiters looking out for?
Yeah, I think you've touched already the first important part, because what introduces you to that person is usually they will look at your CVs. The first thing they will look at. These days also, people look at your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah,
So I would always encourage, the LinkedIn is that profile that you read. It could be your CV, your digital CV that you can update in
site.
real time.
Yeah,
And the advantage of that is that anyone can see it. A CV, you need to send it to people that you know, people that you
always.
have emails to, but
Yeah,
LinkedIn account, you never know who is reading your post about
no,
something that you're so passionate about. Yeah,
yeah,
so whether your CV or LinkedIn or Zinc or whichever account that you have, I would say be very intentional which industry that you want to enter in.
yeah,
We've spoken about those industries on fire. If you're on fire for health or for green tech or for IT mechanics, when I look at your CV, what comes the first when I look at it? Right in
yeah,
the first line, do I see that? Or
yeah,
I see a lot of jobs that you've done in supermarket or where sales, and then which workshops you've done and so on. Yes, they are very important trainings and experiences probably you've done,
yeah,
but how does this relate to what the employer? So if I'm skimming, I'm looking for specific tools that you
mm-hmm.
have, the tools that you have learned on the job or that you have trained yourself, that you are going to bring into this company. I'm
Yeah,
looking at the qualification. Of course, I'm looking at the certifications you have, and I'm looking at how do these reflect, and
yeah,
how are they relevant to my needs in my
yeah,
company, the value that I'm going to be paying you for. And
yeah,
obviously, I'm looking at some of the language in your CV or on your LinkedIn. If you're going to talk about someone who is going to solar installation and panels and stuff, I want to see things like I have installed 30 panels on this in this
practical
farm.
things.
I have operated this machine or this new gadget, or I have maintained this kind of the bridge that was constructed by so and so. I
Yeah,
want to see these kind of things because, especially if you're targeting these very practical companies like SMEs, this is the language
yeah,
that they're looking for.
yeah,
Then I'm also going to be looking, as a recruiter, I'm also looking at the alignment. Basically, the language, it's very important that you can communicate depending on the needs of my company.
making sense.
If I'm serving a German clientele, I
Yeah,
want to be sure that you'll be able to communicate to them. And
mm-hmm.
if you're not able to match that, at least show me that you're so good at what you're doing that I'll maybe compensate that with the translator or with maybe some other support staff who are going to help with the language deficiency or
Yeah,
deficit.
mm-hmm.
And then I want to see, as a recruiter, um, your flexibility, because especially in this generation where people want to do a lot of home office, where people want to have this kind of benefits and that benefits. I want to
Yep.
see how flexible are you as a person, sometimes to go a little bit down on your demands for
100%.
the initial part, because I want to get to know you. The colleagues want to get to know you.
Yeah.
By starting immediately to do home office or asking for this and that, it means that maybe you're reducing or you're increasing the tension, or you're giving them reason to say probably no, because you might not be a match to the team, or the team might not have enough chance to get to know you. And
Yep.
that means that as a person, especially coming from abroad, you need
Yep.
more social interaction to fit in. Uh,
100%.
yeah, the values that we stand for, especially if you're looking for smaller companies, usually they are not looking at the academic like achievements, but they are looking at those practical projects that you have done. They're looking at your personality, how human you are. Humanize yourself, like your abilities, your skills, your trainings. Put a
Yep.
human face to that,
Yep.
because normally they are serving people in the regions that are very hands-on, people that
Yep.
are very personal. They want to connect their like beziehung, relationships.
Yep.
So that hands-on experience can help you, or being able to work independently can really help you. These are kind of things that we'll be looking at.
Yeah. I mean, Steven already touched all of them. Two more points I just would like to add is the value for presenting yourself nicely to a recruiter, like Steven mentioned. Two key platforms, obviously LinkedIn. But what you should keep in mind is, again, when we are talking about being able to attract those companies or connect with those companies who are not in the big cities, you should think about Zinc, XING. So Zinc is the platform. I would say it's more like the LinkedIn for German speaking
Yeah.
companies, or German or companies in the German speaking region, Germany, Austria, Switzerland. So
Mm.
that's where you will find most of them. Why? Because Zinc, as a company, they are actively onboarding these small companies. LinkedIn does not have that time because everybody in the world is using LinkedIn. So why the
True.
heck would they care about small companies? But Zinc puts you right in the face of these small companies. I
Mm.
used Zinc a lot many, many years ago. And frankly speaking, it's so easy to connect with employers
Yeah.
and recruiters. You have thousands of them there coming into your inbox, sending you opportunities. So
Mm.
the opportunities, they contact you, they get in touch with you. Of course, lots of them get in touch with you on LinkedIn as well. But
Mm.
there, you know that you have higher competition. Still, another advantage where you should really make yourself very attractive for these recruiters is it's a win-win for literally everybody. It's a win
Mm.
for the employer, it's a win for the recruiter, it's a win for you. How? The employer has no time to recruit, so the recruitment is thrust out. Win for him if the recruiter gets someone who fits. For the recruiter gets paid for bringing a top skills that solves the problem of the company. And what is in it for you? They take care of all the initial work, and the best part, they get you the best possible salary negotiation. Why? The higher salary they bargain for you, the higher the commission they get paid. If you
Certainly.
want to have excellent salary anywhere, let a recruiter do the hiring for you. I don't know if
Mm.
you know this before, but I think this, if you will forget anything in this session, think that recruiters should do the hiring for you. So present yourself, your profile, your experience, attract them because they will get you excellent opportunity. Why? Because the win-win for everybody. The employer is happy, the recruiter is happy, and you are happy because you landed the
Mm.
job and with excellent conditions.
Yeah.
So, guys, we took a bit
And
longer than
also,
30 minutes. Go on,
and
Steven.
Mike, again, to add to that point, the benefit of the recruiter is also there's that personal relationship they have with the employer.
Represent.
They are accountable to them. So if they treat you bad, usually they have a relationship. They don't want to break that relationship. That is something that can be your guarantee somehow, that you're not handling things on your own. It's like me bringing a student to a certain university. I'm accountable to a student. I have an agreement with that university, and I know if anything goes wrong, at least you have someone to go to explain. Because
Yep.
workers' rights are very important, and some people don't know their rights. So
Yep.
these people can also help you to break that down for you.
Yep. Yep. Great. So, guys, for those of you who started watching from now to the end, I hope this was very valuable for you. If we did not touch on any point, of course, obviously, we couldn't touch on all the points, but let us know in the comment wherever you're watching this. Best
Mm,
case would be that you sign up on Setlinn and let's get this conversation going. Stephen,
mm.
we're way past the time by 15 minutes. But any final words from you that we can use to wrap this up? Oh, and by the way, guys, Stephen and I we're back now bi-monthly. You can expect us every
Yes,
other week live on
certainly.
Friday. I can promise you that. We've tried to do this many times, but every time other engagements come in and we don't. But trust
Yeah.
me, we are we are challenging ourselves to do
Mm.
this every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So my what I would like to tell you is this: put all your questions together. When it comes to opportunities in Germany,
Mm.
if Stephen and I don't have the information for you, we know where to get it from. So
Yeah.
if we can't even give you that information live during the session, we can promise you that in the next session we will come with the answers. So let's build
Mm.
this relationship because we want you to succeed abroad. We want you to succeed in Germany. And this is valuable for those who are in Germany as well as those who are outside of Germany, because
Mm.
Opportunity Pulse is all about helping migrants to access the opportunities for them in Germany. Whether you're here, before you come here, when you get here, and after you've lived here for who knows how long. So we are here for you. And I think that's all I have to say before we wrap it up. Steven, over to you.
Yeah, I can't add more. I'll just say, like, if you're trying to attract especially SMEs, more companies for your first entrance into the job industry, just be practical, think different, away from these lofty goals, but be very flexible in your expectations, whether it is in expectation with location, geographical location. Like we said, big
Yep.
cities are not always the end in sight. And also be fast and responsive when it comes to grabbing opportunities. Make sure that you challenge yourself every day. There are some people that I'm working with right now, and that's what we are training, being responsive. An opportunity shows up, and then you take 5 days to react or to respond to an email, another
Yep.
person takes it. So this is very key. This is very practical. And most important of all, don't undervalue yourself because you have something of value to offer. You're not just
100%.
looking for a job, you're going to contribute. That's the mentality
Hmm.
that you go in with a job. When you're talking to a recruiter, to an employer, come to them with a mentality that I'm bringing some value on table. And because you need that value, you need to pay for the time I'm giving you. And if you promise him that way, I'm sure they will take you in a very different perspective.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So that was it from us today. Finally, just like I mentioned before, if this is your first time here and you want to have the conversation going on, go to setlinn.com to learn more and connect with us because this conversation is continuing on Setlinn. We are putting the platform together to see that after we have conversations like this, after we speak like this, that it doesn't just end here, that we can have a community that brings people together and can talk about these things, and you have practical ways to go about your journey abroad in Germany, wherever that might be for you. Steven, thank you so very much for this session.
It was a
And to
pleasure.
everyone who has watched us from LinkedIn, Zinc, no, not Zinc, X. Zinc does not allow streaming yet, and YouTube, Facebook, and so on. Thank you so very much. And we will see you in exactly 2 weeks from now. But until then, let's keep the conversation going on Setlinn. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.